First, I'll explain what this whole video is about real quick because I feel I took way too long to warm up and I don't want you to click off. I think this is actually an important topic. This video is about what's really going on with TikTok right now and how it's being used as a propaganda machine. It's about how foreign government agencies use their armies of bots on social media to shape what and how we think. I'll show you real examples from threads, specific accounts and posts I ran into the other night while doom scrolling. That's what we're getting into here. I blurred some names in the screenshots I took, but not all of them. My criteria for that was how confident I was in what I'm saying, but also whether the person in question is a public figure or a private individual. None of this is made to entice online bullying or harassment against these pathetic individuals. Before we start, I want to show you some statistics and facts. In this first infographic, we see how many people in the US use TikTok, broken down by demographics. In short, it comes down to some half of the country. Basically, everyone I know has an account there. In the next 3 slides, we can see some covert online operations that Israeli government agencies executed in the past 15 years. This is not even all of them. I'm not going to read all of this here. This video is long enough as it is. You can find all of this in the documents I left under the video, or pause to read in detail here. Definitely check out the links in the description after you watch the video. I worked really hard to prepare all of this. There, you'll find links to a bunch of documents I made while researching, all the materials I show, and some resources I used. A lot of good stuff didn't make it in the final cut. Also, I built this web-based app. It's just a simple ClearNet topic tracker I used for my research. I'll go into more detail about it later on. In this video, I focus on one specific misdirection campaign on one specific app. That's not to say other social media apps are somehow safe. Use your critical thinking while taking in any information, including information you get from me here. Let's get into the video. So, it's been an interesting night. I didn't sleep, decided to make this video instead. I don't use TikTok, never did. I do have some accounts on there, and I downloaded the app some 5 separate times, but I would always have it for a day or two and then give up on it and delete it. I always felt it's the same as cigarettes. Addictive, yes, but ultimately boring and meant strictly for kids, women, and minorities. I've been spending a lot of time on Threads lately since Facebook permanently disabled my account just because I promoted some illegal activities. So, out of boredom, I tried Threads and got hooked immediately. Threads has a really interesting and addictive algorithm, made me see the society as a whole in ways I never did before. I'll talk about stuff I realized there in a few upcoming videos. Now, I want to talk about TikTok. So, you all know that at the end of January, a Chinese company, ByteDance, sold this branch of TikTok to the USA. Not to the country, of course. TikTok was bought by a group of investors, among who the most interesting to me now are Oracle, that is, their founder Larry Ellison, with 15% of the share, and Silver Lake, a private equity firm, also with 15%. So, all this happened not long ago. I saw it, but it didn't trigger any reaction out of me. I can see what's going on, but I'm not going to get upset. Until tonight. So tonight, there was some movement in the TikTok headquarters, or should I better say in their admin page. They were doing something. I can't really say what, I don't know. Maybe just some site maintenance, maybe testing some newly added code, who knows. I'm guessing it was Mossad, injecting their mind control software. But as a result of this, the app was glitching, bugging out, not working. TikTok was tweaking. Like I said, I don't even have the app, and I for sure wasn't going to install it now. So I was following what's going on Threads. People were reporting outages in real time, but many were also claiming their earnings went to zero. Some complained that they posted a video, but there were no views at all, for hours. Some were claiming it's because of the content of those videos, which were about recent unfortunate events involving ICE. Or they were critical of Trump in general. So they blamed Trump for censorship and started talking about leaving the app, deleting their accounts, etc. Next thing I knew, the endless scroll wall on Threads filled up with posts about that. People usually like events like this, these online stampedes, and will sometimes join just for the sport of it, never really actually leaving the site they claim to leave. And like with everything online, the internet, division machine, soon spawned an opposition. First I saw the trolls, sarcastically laughing at the performative, histrionic way some of these TikTok refugees had to announce they deleted their account with X amount of followers. That seemed very important, how many followers they were willing to sacrifice to show their battle readiness. So I started seeing all kinds of exaggerated versions of the slogan. I deleted my TikTok with 6 million followers, and so on. All imaginable variations. Some were pretty funny, especially when someone would get called out for lying, like this one, for example. But soon, my brain, the pattern recognition machine, started noticing something that I didn't find so funny. There were more and more of these posts where people were arguing against deleting the app. Some of them seemed pretty serious about it. What's even worse and weirder, some seemed really upset about people wanting to leave. I found that strange. What's it to you, my guy, that you're so pressed about someone else leaving some social media app? Not like you'll miss them there. TikTok has 140 million users in the US alone. Technically, even those who mocked the migration of the herds of TikTokers were in opposition and were weakening their efforts to entice others to migrate too. But I have to admit, those were at least funny. These other ones were serious, and, what really poked my eye, somehow all the same. They weren't addressing the real reason people would want to leave TikTok. They all stopped at the same point in their response, right before they would need to answer any valid reasons for the migration of the TikTokers. So, they were creating a straw man. But what was really weird was that it was always the same straw man with all of them. They all decided to pretend that the only issue was data collection, and if they answered that, it would be the end of all of this. In my opinion, the real reason to leave TikTok would be the fact that one of the buyers of it, Larry Ellison, is a Zionist Jew, a genocide sponsor who donated over $26 million to the IDF, becoming their largest private donor.
We have two CEOs at Oracle. One's name is Safra Katz, and she was born in Israel. So again, we love the country of Israel, and we'll do everything we can to support the country of Israel.
That's the thing. Ellison is very close to this foreign country that we all know is already interfering in the US internal affairs. But these guys are all very busy debunking and tearing down completely different concern: data collection. Isn't it weird that they all came up with this, independently, at the same time? And isn't it really strange that this person made a new Thread account just on the day when this all started? And that they made a new Instagram account on that same day? And that they have 1 follower on Threads and 4 on Instagram? And that they were active in those 3 days this commotion lasted and now are silent for 2 days? And that they were also trying their best to misdirect the people, pushing those same talking points about data extraction and privacy and ignoring any other arguments? Me personally don't care about data collection. I know what that data is and how it's used. This isn't a video about that, so I won't go explaining in detail. You can look it up yourself. But it's nothing I'm losing sleep over, and I actually didn't even see many people mentioning it. Or if they did, they went a bit more in depth than one would get an impression from these debunkers. They just kept insisting on asking questions like this, and a lot of them with this same tone. I'm so confused. Genuinely, can someone maybe explain to me like I'm 5? I already mentioned how the Threads algorithm works, so I know this was partially caused by that. I interacted with one post in that style, and then I got more. But when that usually happens, I still never get so many people being so deliberately obtuse, all in the same way. This was literally hundreds of them. I got triggered by it. As one does, I got even really pissed and started arguing with them. That is, I tried to argue. But unusually high numbers of them ignored me completely, which doesn't happen that often. That was another very strange thing. They weren't responding, like they don't see my comment, and it was usually something like this. I didn't write anything to make me think maybe the app shadow banned me or something. There were other really unusual things I noticed. Look at this profile, for example. First, I always go to check where they're from. If that info is hidden, that could tell us something, but it also doesn't mean much. This guy's from Indonesia, and he's been here on Threads for a while. We can go to his Instagram, but in this case, there's not much interesting to see there. I already checked. We'll get back to the post I want to discuss, but first, let's look at this. So this is the line under which we can see older posts. And we can see here the last post he made on August 30th last year. And it's in Indonesian. And most of his posts are in Indonesian, like at least 95% of them. And he used to post pretty regularly, if not often. That same month, he posted 6 times. A month before that, 4 times. He does take a break from posting for a full month, it seems, but never over 4 months, like between his last post and the one before that. For full 4 months, he didn't post, and then he wakes up and decides to write this. Look here, 8 cards, or what do they call this? 8 chunks of text. He used ChatGPT or some other AI text generator. And he's trying to persuade people not to leave TikTok, like it's his company or something, so he's afraid to lose his income. Most of his argument in this can be boiled down to this idea. The government, they, already has your data, so why worry about it? Come on, it doesn't matter. They have your face, your content is public. So he's also focusing exclusively on the privacy concern side of it, as if that's the only issue here. We can see the M dashes, mostly a sure sign of LLMs and laziness. He could have at least replaced them or prompt them out. All of this text reads like he really tried to step in every logical fallacy there is. He joined the school debate club, learned a few new words, and went out of his way to step into each. Whataboutism, fear-mongering, appeal to emotion, muddying the water. After 4 months away from Threads, he decides to put in some real effort and persuade people to stay on TikTok. What a guy, caring about us from across the world. I'll leave a Google document under the video in the description. You can read all of it if you want. Please don't go messaging the guy or something. Nothing to gain with that. And tonight, while editing this video, which by the way took more than 40 hours so far, I've noticed this. The only person liking each of these ChatGPT written segments is this very real and not fake at all person with 0 followers, 0 posts and replies, and 0 followers on Instagram. That must be his handler or something. I'm still editing this video 6 days later, and I just went there to check. Yeah, I thought so. He hasn't posted since. I kind of figured he wouldn't. It's probably a bot account anyway. A profile that used to be real but got stolen or hacked, and is now being run by a member of Unit 8200, an elite Israeli cyber espionage unit. That's an intelligence unit in the IDF. They mostly focus on things like cyber warfare, data processing, and intelligence gathering. We'll be talking about them more in future videos. So, after I was done losing my time with this probable agent and his stolen profile, I went to find another one. I developed a taste for this. By this time, I was starting to understand what was actually going on. I'd heard about the bot farms and the Russian influence on the 2016 election before, but I never really gave it much thought. I always figured it was something more cover, harder to spot and impossible to recognize, unless you're trained for it. I honestly thought people who claim they saw bots everywhere were just paranoid, or that they called anyone they disagreed with a bot or a paid actor. But here I was, right in the middle of a disinformation campaign, watching it happen live. Next thing I knew, I stumbled upon this dude.
Then most likely they are kosher.
Maybe you've seen him already? He's a minor internet celebrity. I know I've seen this Reddit mod face before, but I didn't realize it was him at first until he had to mention he's a public figure. We started arguing under a post of his. That is, okay, I started it. And I didn't bother to check who I'm talking to right away, but he made sure to tell me who he was right in his first reply. So he's been on it for days, commenting frantically under, I guess, every single post on Threads about the great TikTok exodus. I think he also didn't sleep, most probably high on Adderall or something. He was running around from post to post, covering inhumane amounts of ground that night. Actually, he was at it for a solid week. Look at all these replies. This is just in the last 5 or 6 days since that whole TikTok thing started. Almost all of these comments are about that. There are maybe 10 about anything else unrelated. Yes, I've read all of it a few times. He's obviously using voice to text, judging by the lack of punctuation in his run-on sentences. It's downright scary the amount of energy he poured into this. It reminds me of the famous Hitler-Mussolini meeting, when Hitler, high on Eucadol, almost smothered Mussolini by talking at him for 4 hours straight. This dude gave it his absolute best to try and shut down the idea of people leaving TikTok. What a valuable trooper for the Zionists. If his handler is watching this, dude, give this guy a raise. From 2 coins to 2 coins and clippings of a third one. There's even this comment referring to a live he did on TikTok at the same time. This dude read him well. There were others reading the situation correctly. So, he was following the same script, but he at least answered when I mentioned the magic word, Mossad. I found it interesting how he latched onto that. It seems I hit a nerve. This here is a reconstructed conversation. I didn't know I would need screenshots, so I didn't take them. And this here grand debater and debunker blocked me. I had to make a whole new Instagram, then Threads, to access this national treasure. You can see we had a nice conversation, a beautiful dialogue. Too bad this fine gentleman had to cut it short, once he realized he was speaking to a straight-up anti-Semitic Nazi fuck. I don't know how he recognized it. Must be because I said a Jew instead of the approved, soft, Jewish. I'm not going to read all of these now, of course. We would be here all day, and I'm still trying to keep some appearance of a sane person. I put this here just so you see the sheer volume of work this mad lad did. If you're a completionist, there's a link to an unlisted video in the description below, so if you want, you can read it all. You can randomly stop that video at any moment. Chances are, 20 to 1, that it's going to be about TikTok. I want to point out just a few messages where he slipped some info, other than just repeating the same lines again and again, how Meta is doing the same with our data, and how any other idea is a conspiracy theory. He said the words conspiracy theory at least 1,000 times in those few days. Everything that doesn't come from a source he deems valid is, of course, a conspiracy theory. You couldn't write anything about TikTok for a full week without him being right on it. TikTok's pit bull of threads. He's a pit bull, and people who comment against TikTok are babies. He's probably still working on this. Try it out for yourself if you have a Threads account. Write something about how you're leaving TikTok or deleting the app, whatever. I bet you could still summon the magical source guy to ask you about the source? Like a sleep paralysis demon, sitting on your chest and asking for a credible source.
Source? Care to cite a source?
No, I don't have a source. I am the source. How about that? I use my mind, my own noticing and judgment sorting machine. Imagine that. It was my late great-grandmother who gave me this ancestral wisdom. She came to me in a dream, in the shape of a hawk, and said, "Kee! Kee!" How's that for a source? The fuck? This guy would go out in the rain, get soaking wet, and when you tell him it's raining, he would ask for a source of that info. Source? Source? Anyhow, look at this message. He slipped here that he used to work on social engineering. He was tired, exhausted expiration, as the guy there put it so correctly, and he said too much. What he meant to say is that he is working on it now. That's what he's doing right now. He also tried to push a conspiracy theory of his own. I guess conspiracy theories are fine as long as they are completely stupid and implausible. Let's just veer off the one that's actually true, right? This isn't some conspiratory connect the dots, while the dots are very distant and vague. No, this is a very straightforward A to B. It's just 3 or 4 dots, and they're very close to each other. First, we have Larry Ellison, a self-proclaimed Zionist with ties to the Israeli military. He gives them a huge amount of money, and now he bought a backdoor entrance into an app used by 150 million Americans. Then, the new CEO of TikTok, Adam Presser, a self-identified proud Zionist who they just put in that position, says things like this.
If somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist, but if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a dirty name, then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against. We tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech, identifying hateful trends, trying to keep the platform safe. There's no such thing as an end game.
And finally, Bibi Netanyahu has a meeting with some TikTokers to say how TikTok and X are, I quote, critical battlegrounds for shaping opinion, especially of young people.
And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is followers.
Oh, so they were talking about that too, about buying followers. Nice. Look at old Benji's face here. He's not pleased with his disciples saying the quiet part loud. And in a moment, you'll hear some girl saying, bots? Just a normal day, purchasing bots. Nothing to see here. I need to look into who was at that meeting. I need those names. Names.
TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one? That's most important. X. X. Exactly. Very good. And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him.
That's dot 3. It's 3 dots and they are practically touching. It's a line. It would actually require a very conspiracy-prone, irrational mind to say that somehow now they won't do what they said they would. It asks for an extraordinary effort of will to be that blind and keep asking for source when it's this in your face as it is. One needs to be really willfully blind to imagine TikTok is not going to be used for pro-Great Israel propaganda. Blind, dumb, or an asset. Oh, let's wait and see if they try to use it to program the kids for future milking. And how exactly would we see that? You don't expect them to do it even more bluntly. People expecting Googleable proof of intel agencies' activities is wild. Israel has been caught spying on us multiple times by now. Maybe I should make a video about that. There is plenty of material for an hour-long video at least. Let me know what you think about that. If there's interest, I'll do it. And now they're getting their hands on the largest, most efficient propaganda machine the world has ever seen. 150 million people stare at that screen 2 to 5 hours a day, every day. Kids, with their soft minds, exposing themselves to a constant stream of harmful ideologies. Not just kids, you, me, no one is immune to propaganda. Good propaganda sneaks in the background. It's not going to be slogans and posters, screaming messages in our head. It's the subtle subtext that slowly creeps in our mind and starts nudging the Overton window. Maybe you're an adult, fully firm in your beliefs. Fine, nobody is saying that propaganda needs to aim to change your core beliefs. But there are areas for every one of us, certain issues, where we're not so solid. Maybe in some things we can see both sides, and some nuance. Or maybe we don't care enough about some topics to even have an opinion yet. Propaganda goes for those edge cases in every one of us and moves people, maybe just a little bit. They don't care. That's enough. 1, 2, 5%. That's enough. There are people that can be moved 100%, and some will budge more, some less. Finally, the entire society, on average, can end up miles away from where we started. Nobody is immune. No man is an island. We will get brainwashed. Just think about it. Sometimes I come home from work so exhausted I can barely even shower. I eat, crash, and grab my phone for some doom scrolling. And people do this every single night. This is literally how cults recruit their members. They keep them tired and sleep deprived, so their defenses weaken, and they accept new programming. source guy wasn't alone. There were others, many more. It's close to impossible for me to guess how many. I saw at least 10 more suspicious profiles fighting this bad fight, some of them somewhat famous. Like this guy. He's some kind of a comedian, you saw him. Vincent Marcus. He makes these cute and cringy shorts with his girlfriend, wife, whatever. The video is too long to dive into his involvement, so this is just a dishonorable mention. I'll just show you that others have sniffed him out too. It was pretty obvious. I mean, he all of a sudden abandons his attempts at comedy and makes multiple posts mocking people for leaving TikTok, Israel's propaganda machine. But I'm actually glad he did, because it brought out all these noticers, my people, that I haven't seen all night because I was there arguing with the source seeker guy. Some of these comments were spot on. This one made me feel warm inside. I hope she's right. I really hope she's right. That's it for this video. It took me way too long to make it. Almost destroyed my poor computer, my bread bringer. If you watched all the way, I assume you liked this video, so maybe you could go and check my Patreon. I don't have anything there yet, no perks, but if you join, it would help me make more videos like this. I do have ideas. I'll put the link in the description. Thank you to all who do it. I said before that the Threads algorithm works as a mirror. I spent a sleepless night, first in what turned into almost a full week, fighting these demons. But by dawn, I was out. Suddenly, my scroll wall was filled with people agreeing with me, with the same exact thoughts, same exact ideas. I wasn't alone. I have achieved sync with my mirror self. All was well again. Bye guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.